Okay, let's have a look at the second programming exam solution tutorial. We're looking at saving and loading a game to and from a file. We're looking at the monster assignment, the monster skeleton code, and the Python object-oriented programming version. Quick look at what we need to do. Save game and load game. This is already done in struct version. Just an array dump load will do. We'll just use the same. We'll just use the same way that the structured code does it. And the stream reader writer is already a class, so uses OOP syntax. This is only relevant to VB and C#. Okay, so onwards. Let's have a look at the Python code. I'll collapse to definitions. Yes, so here's the OOP version. There's the structured version. So in the structured version, got a whole load of subroutines and functions. Here we've got load game and save game. So in the menu here, when the user selects 4, they not sure what they do here. Set up training game if choice is 4, which is okay, and 2 is load game and 3 is save game. Okay, right, so let's what should we do first? Let's look at save game. Okay, so in the structured version, when we save a game, so we've played a game and we're looping back, selected 4 just here and dropped down to here. Sorry, selected 3, and trap positions, monster position, all of those variables, actually trap position, etc. Okay, that's an array list of trap positions, but you can see all the other items, well, and trap positions are cell reference or this logical item, and you can see that they are in fact classes. So anyway, the structured version did use some classes just to make the coding a bit easier. Right, so we are going to do, let's start with save game. So in the structured version, all of these items that define a game, flash position, player position, all of those positions and whether or not the monster is awake, constitute a snapshot of the game. And we, in the structured version, if I press function key 12, you can see they're passed in as parameters here to save game. And then this game data object is created. Game data is a class, I do believe, there. So this object is created, and then these positions, which are of type cell reference, are set to these values. Okay, so we can do something similar. Let's do something similar then. So in the object-oriented programming paradigm, if we put save game, if we make this a method that's part of the game class, then that save method will have access to the game's trap positions, monster position, player position, etc. It'll have access to those, so you don't need to pass them in if we create this as a method against the game class, which is sort of the most sensible place to put it, really. So let's have a look. Monster. Game class. Got play there. Okay, and then here we've got some sort of subroutines that display menu, get menu choice, and the main loop here. Okay, so save. Let's where should I put it? Oh, I'll put it up here, just after the play. Okay, and just got to do a little bit of incrementing, not incrementing, but indenting. There's probably a better way to do this, isn't there? So I can save game, but trap positions, rather than passing in, I can get from my private attributes. Actually, here we've got two, haven't we, hard coded? I think just for now, I'm going to use trap positions 1 and 2 rather than the array, and we'll change it later when we come to do a indeterminate number of traps. So current game data I'm going to get from game data as before. I'm going to need that, so let's take this class from the structure version. It uses this logical class as well, so I'm going to need that as well. Okay, right, let's have game data. I'll put it up. I'll put it up there. Okay, so this here is a class, and we're going to need the logical class as well. Grab that. While I'm here, I'm also going to grab these libraries. I'm not sure what the sys is for, but might be for the file handling. Well, can check that later if there is time. So I've got class, logical, and game data. Right. So I am looking at save, aren't I? So game class, where did I put it? It's yeah. So it's a method within the game class. So save game. Current game data I'm getting from here. Game data. What I'm going to do actually, rather than trap positions, I'm going to say trap 1 position, just to get this done. Make it equal to a cell reference, just like all the other items in the cavern, and trap 2 position there. So I've created a class here, and it's got these well, these are set up as public attributes, aren't they? I'll just leave it as that. I'm not going to create a setter and getter. I'm just going to do the same as we had in the structured programming version. So saving, current game data, trap positions equals. So rather than passed in now, I can get this from self dot double underscore, and it was self, wasn't it? Self double underscore trap 1. So that is the position of trap 1, and I do need to pass in my self parameter as well here. Okay, so self trap 1, and I'm going to set to trap 1 position, and make this one trap 2. 2. And then the monster position will be self dot double underscore monster, I should think. Let's have a quick look. Oh, I can see it there. Monster flask. Yeah, so it all makes sense really. Self, oops. And this one is player. This one is flask. And monster awake is self. Where is monster awake? Don't have it, do we? Okay. Why don't we have monster awake as a private attribute? We should really, shouldn't we? Well, maybe monster awake is part of the monster class. Yes, that rings a bell, doesn't it? If we go to the monster class, wherever it's gone, enemy, awake, get awake. Yes, this returns the awake status. So I should be able to say in my save, which I've already lost there, so I can get it from monster and get awake. That returns me the awake or not status. Okay, so this should allow me to save a game. So all I need to do now is to I don't want to go to the structured version. I want to add it into my menu. So which menu item was it? Let's just do the same to keep things simple. Choice 3. Choice equals 3. I'm going to get the game object from the previous iteration. So we're going around this while loop. And I'm going to issue the save method. And that should call this save here. So I'm going to call it save rather than save game. Okay. Right. Shall we see if this works? So the startup file is the structured version in Visual Studio. If I want the OOP version to run, then I need to set the startup file with that context menu there, set startup. Yeah, it didn't show because it's set to the startup. Set startup file. Okay, I am just going to see if that works. Hit start. Right. I know what, I'm going to play the training game because I know where the flask is. So if I go, or rather where there's a trap, I go east and east again. Nope, invalid character, east. I've set off a trap, so here comes the monster. And now if I go to back to the main menu, I didn't add my choice, did I? That was annoying. Right. Okay. So display menu. Let's show. Let's say save. I didn't actually really need to quit, did I? I could have just hit 3 and it would have done it. All right, okay. Start a new training game. Go east and east again. Hit a trap, and there's monster. Exit. Now, if I do the save game, I'm just going to put a breakpoint here, and we can just trace it through. Okay, enter my choice 3 to save the game. Okay, I'm going here, I'm going to step into the save, and so here current game data equals game data. So we can see now if I hover over current game data, we've got a whole load of attributes of this current game data object. Okay, and let's have a look. So self trap 1. I wonder if the immediate, if I clear this immediate window, I wonder if this will, I think it has a problem with this self. Oops. Let's try it. Self dot double underscore trap 1. Will that return something? No. Perhaps I need to say get position and none of cells south, let's say, for example. That should return something, but it's not. Seems to have a bit of a problem, the debugger, with this self object. This bit works. Okay, maybe I need to say game. Let's try that. Game. One more attempt. Not sure. I'm wasting a bit too much time on this. Okay. Debug's not showing this, unfortunately, but I can look at the locals window and I can get to the self object here, and we can see game monster. I can click into there and see the various values for those attributes. Okay, so let's. So I'm building up this current game data object. Okay, and it's hit an error. Didn't like something there. Let's just close that. Player position. Nah, it's a bit too sloppy, wasn't it? Don't need those positions. Right, so we know that it worked up to that point. So let's run it again, but I'm going to get rid of, oops, this. No, I'm going to leave that in, get rid of this. I'm not going to continue either. Start. Save the game. Okay. Enter new file name. Okay, let's call it game1 dot. I'll just put dat. Okay. So that has saved. If I continue, let's have a look in the, if I go right click and open folder, I can see game1.dat has just been created. Excellent. Okay. Right, so the save works, and we just need to do something similar for the load. So let's have a look at the structured version. load game was choice 2, and setup training game was choice 4. So I'll just do the same thing. So this was 4, and load game choice 2. So I'm going to do a very similar thing to what I did before. So okay, so load game. I am going to say if choice is 2, I'm not going to need to pass in any objects and variables to set because they are already all in my game object. So I'm going to create a new game, but game dot load. I'm mucking around with my caps lock here. So I'm going to load my game. Okay, so here I've got so this argument here, false, that is telling us that it's not a training game. So I'm going to say this isn't a training game, but I'm going to add a new parameter. It's not that neat, but it just there's not so much code we need to change. So I'm going to say, I'm going to pass in another parameter to say whether we're loading the game from a file. So we're not loading from a file when we create a new game. We are loading from a file when we hit choice 2. We don't do that for save, and for training game we are not loading from a file. Okay, and now to go up to my game. So is training game, so I'll create load game. So that's true or false, set to true if we are loading. I'll do a similar thing here, shall I? Self load game. So I've got a private attribute I'm setting to the load game parameter, and then I can access that in my setup game. Okay, so setup game. Right, so we've got the save there. Now let's do the load. I'm just going to be, I was going to say lazy, I'm not going to be lazy, I'm being efficient. I'm going to take this load game function from the structured version and drop it in and redo it as an OOP version. Okay, so grab the file name. I don't need to pass these in. Trap positions, I can just set them. So I've got trap 1 position, haven't I? Position. I'm not going to set number of cells south. Because I'm going to invoke a method, set position. Right, I'm loading from a file. So actually what I need to do is take loaded game data. Let's just do the first one. Try not to be too messy about this. So I'm taking trap 1 position from loaded game data that I've picked up from the file, and I'm setting the position of trap1. So self.double_trap1 gets me that object. I'm going to invoke one of this object's methods, which is setPosition, and I'm setting it to trap1 position that I've picked up from this file. And I can do that with trap2 from trap2 position, and I can just do the rest, can't I? Let's see. So I want monster, and I'll have the flask, and let's have the player, and then loaded. Let's get the appropriate. So okay, we do need the position bit there. Okay, monster, flask, and player. Okay, so we set those private attributes based on the loaded game data class that we've object that we've loaded from the file. Okay, and then there is the awake. So self monster, and then we need to set the fact that we need to make it awake or not based on the loaded game data value of monster awake. So what do we have there? Monster. I'm not getting any IntelliSense there, which is a bit of a shame, so I need to find the monster class here. Change sleep status. Nope. I need an extra method here, don't I? I need to do a set awake so that I can grab that. So set awake. I'll just call it awake here, and then set self.awake equals whatever I'm passing in here. Okay, so then that sets the awake status of the enemy. Okay, I'm going to call this load. Don't need any of these parameters. And I'm now doing a monster.set awake. And I'm passing in this boolean. Okay, that loads my details. That loads those, sets the attributes. Okay, so I've now got a load method. Right, now I need to just do a little bit more, and we've got this load game attribute there. So let's go into the setup game. So setup game resets the cavern, tests if we're not in a training game. We do some bits here, set up some random positions, and if it is a training game, then we set these fixed positions. So I need to do another test in here. So if it's not a self, if it's so if oops if self dot load game. So if we're loading the game, then we do some. Then we essentially call the load method. Else we do the what we were doing before. Okay, so we load, and we are going to need to set these markers as well, the T, M, and F, and the star. So let's have these set to random positions, whereas we don't want set position, do we? We want something else. Let's have a quick look. Set position of item. Okay, we need to use this self cavern place item by the look of it. Let's do that. So rather than getting a random position, I'm going to place item, and so for this I'm going to get the self dot player position. That will return a position of the player, and I'm going to pass in, I'm going to set a star against that, and I should now do trap 1, trap 2. I appreciate this is going on a very long time. Oops. Monster and flask. We need an F for that, and a M for monster, and T's for traps. Okay, I'm going to set the player one at the end. I have seen a case where this star didn't appear because it was on top of a trap, something like that. So let's have the player called at the end. All right, so this now should load the game, and then set the cavern with the positions that have been set within this load. All right, let's have a think. I think that will let's run this, and let's stop this and run, and let's see if we can load the game we saved previously. Right, load game. Let's put a breakpoint in here. Actually, let's just put it down here, see if it works. Okay, step in. No. Why didn't it like that? Load, my game load. Yeah, didn't really want to do that, did I? I just wanted my game equals game. Because I'm not exposing the load, well, I'm not using the load method here, I'm using it as part of the constructor, just like in the other game creation calls here. Let's have another go. Load game. Step in. Okay, so load game, this is true. Training game is, well, should be false. Is a training game. Okay, let's set up those attributes and now go into setup game, and got some initializing happening there. So we go into the load game part here, step into self load. Interesting. I've omitted the self there, haven't I? Right, now I'm going to stop there, as we know that all the other bits work okay. Pause. Don't need that. And let's start. Load game. Okay. So we're in there. Enter name of file. So it was game1.dat. Okay. So we have now got the data from the file and put it into the loaded game data object. I just click on it here, we can see all of the items there. Okay. Right, so I've gone into the load here. Huh. Yeah, something wasn't right there, was it? Setup game, gone into the load, trap 1 position, trap 2 position, monster, fast player, set awake. Could be that, not really sure. Right, game1.dat. Right, let's see if this trap 1 set position runs okay. There's a problem. Trap 1 set position. What could be going wrong here? Trap 1 position, trap 1 position, loaded game data. Loaded game data. Cannot see a problem with that. Load self game. We haven't created a game. No, we have created a game. I'll pause this and think about what's going on. Okay, so the issue here was that game data, the game data class's attributes are cell references, whereas I was saving, let's have a look, in the game class. I was setting trap 1 position to, for example, this is a trap object. This is an object based on the trap class, and this is an object based on the enemy class, rather than a cell reference. So when saving, I wanted to invoke the get position method, and then that returns a position as a cell reference. So I want to save these as positions, and then when I'm loading, I'm setting the position. So this trap 1 position now is of the right type. So the load does those set positions, so they should be fine. And then when I come to do the setup game, I'm placing, so again this needs to be passed in as a cell reference object. So I need my get position, my get position again there. Okay, that should work. Let's try it. Right, start a training game. Number 4. Go east and east. Monster comes down. Go back. Save the game to, after this game, 2.dat. Okay, and now let's see if we can start a new game. So we've reset everything, so starting up it. the top left corner, come back out, and now let's load the game. Let's see what happens. Game2.dat. Still an issue. So load game. Okay. Track position is a cell reference object. So running this set position should be passing in the right type of object. Set position should go in there. If I go next, and it has set these, so that's all right. It might be the set awake thing here. Set awake. So that was in the enemy, and this new set awake. No, didn't like that. Right. That should work all right. Set awake, set to a Boolean. Just going to get rid of that is bit. Even though monster awake is true. See if that works. That does. Okay, I don't know why the dot is didn't work. Not really sure. Okay. Now these should work. Right. That's everything. So you can see it's loaded the game as to where we left it. Okay, this has been a very long solution tutorial. I probably, if I get a chance, will redo this and make it a fair bit shorter. All right, I shall leave it at that. Just a quick reminder that we need calls to load and save the game. So the save is a method here, and the load is built into is an add-on to the constructor. And if we go to the constructor, we're now passing in whether it's a training game or not, and whether we're loading the game or not, setting these two attributes for use within the setup game, and then setup game comes along and issues the load. to get details from a file and then sets these markers in the grid. And we have two new methods now as part of the game class based on those that were in the structured version. Taken a little while to get to this point, but there we go. All right, see you next time.